one of the key principles that we work with in a lot of embodiment people work with, I work a lot with in UZAZU dynamic embodiment, is yin and yang. Yin and yang. And the way I would define yin and yang at its core level is yin is movement inwards towards a center, and yang is movement outwards away from a center. Just try that with your hands for a moment. Yin inwards in this center. Let's pick your own center right now. It could be any center, but right now let's pick yours. Inwards towards the center, yinning, and outwards away from a center, yanging. One more time. You might even say to yourself, yinning inwards and yanging outwards. Right. Okay, thank you. Rest. Well, one of the most common, I find, misconceptions of yin and yang is that it's a static state. I find it most useful to hold yin and yang as a dynamic process, as two phases of a dynamic process. Yeah, so grammatically, it would be even more helpful if culturally we called it yinning and yanging. Yeah, and the dance of life through polarities, right, is things going inwards and integrating and transforming, and then going outwards and sharing and meeting and exchanging, right? And the more we can have through our body mind, through all the different dimensions of our being, this dance happening, right? That which is wanting to go in, that it can interweave and integrate more and more. And then from that integration, that rebirth out the other side into that flowering into life, right? The more I can feel into that dance and the different ways in which that dance is wanting to happen, the more I can allow my embodiment to say yes to whatever phase, whatever currents are wanting to happen. So now let's plug this yinning and yanging into what we were just doing for a moment. Yeah. Hands in neutral. Hands in neutral. In between yin and yang. Yeah. As you shift back with me. Remember I said pull your hands and your face in, wrap your awareness tighter around the body mind. This is the yin movement into the self. Allow your awareness to go deeper into the body. Take a gentle inhale and a slow, relaxed exhale and sink the awareness deeper into the body. And again, sink the awareness and the energy deeper in. Let it fall like gravity into the self. And now, gently, stay grounded in the self. So keep a part of your awareness just easefully grounded in the self. And from there, take that with you as you slowly shift back through neutral, staying grounded in the yin of self. Extend the hands gently out just a little bit. So as you go into other awareness, let it be a flowering whose seed and roots are still yinning in the self. And just say, you can say silently inside yourself, relaxing into the self, I am present with the other. Just, you can say it or you can just sort of intend it gently in your mind. Relaxing into the self, I am present with the other. Let's try one more round of it. Take that yang with you and just allow awareness as you shift back, hands in, face in, yin inwards, folding inwards, awareness just resting into the self. Be with that gentle hum in the body. And like a seed that gets catalyzed by the soil and the water of awareness, the soil of the body and the water of awareness, let it start to sprout. Rooted in the self, let it start to just naturally grow its shoots and branches out, opening up to other. Staying rooted in the self, the branches of the hands and the eyes. receiving the sunshine, the light from the other. And let's just rest here for a moment and experience that together. Relax into the self. I am relaxed or present with the other. Allow that. Relax into that. Gentle exhale. Let your whole neurology just relax into that even more. And now gently shift back to neutral. And relax. All right, thank you. So this is a very simple tool, isn't it? This is a very simple thing. Just taking that time to set it up. It's so easy. Somebody calls us, somebody messages us, somebody appears in the screen of our awareness, and we go out, right? Try that for a moment. Just enact that for a moment. Just imagine stimulus response without yin. Just do that for a moment. Just, what? Oh, hi. Act that with me for a moment. Because we all do it, right? Something happened. Oh. Yeah. Now try this for a moment. Just already, even with this 5 minutes of training, just go back for a moment and then come forward with yourself. Play with it on your own tempo for the next 30 seconds. Back, feel the self, take it with you out. Feel the difference? Yeah. Okay. Let's try something a little bit different than this. As we go into the self, as we go into the others, these are directions in space, directions of awareness in space, yeah? We can sometimes go too far in a direction, yeah? And less good, right? When we go too far in any one of these directions, less good. There's a certain feeling, if you listen to it, there's a distinct feeling that we all tend to experience in our own unique ways, yeah. And the more we can train ourselves to listen and know what that feels like, to recognize, oh, that's the feeling of when I've gone too far into other. Oh, that's the feeling of when I've gone too far into self. We can train ourselves to self-correct. We can train ourselves to self-correct. So we're going to do that in just a moment. But I want to give you, before we do that, a very simple analogy. Everybody just sit upright or stand upright. Just gentle, easy balance. You really, yeah, you all need to sit upright to experience this. Okay. First, let's just recognize how easily you all did that. That was pretty easy, right? You don't need any embodiment training to do that. Everybody just shift a bit back diagonal, enough that it's a little uncomfortable. And now correct yourself, restore balance. Easy peasy, right? Easy peasy. Why? Because you've trained yourself through walking to recognize various signals interoceptively, exteroceptively, proprioceptively that give you the feedback that you naturally course correct, don't you? Yeah, you walk on a pebble or the ground goes like this, the body just boom, rights itself. What we need to cultivate is that same righting response on an internal level. That we train ourselves to recognize the signals when we've gone too far in any direction internally, state-wise, and we course correct. Does that make sense? Yeah, so in order to do that, we need to recognize what are the distinctive signals that tell us that we've gone too far in any direction. It's actually pretty simple. We just need to break it down and train ourselves. Oh, that's when I've gone too much into the other. That's when I've gone too much in the self. In a moment, we're going to do the same thing with sensory motor. That's when I'm too far into sensing. Oh, that's when I'm too far into action. Oh, should we try it? It's not necessarily a pleasant practice because we're purposely putting ourselves a little off balance, but gosh, is it resilience building. So here we go. Neutral. Deep breath, let it go. Maybe just the notion of it starts to can make us feel a little bit like, oh gosh. Okay, so let's start with the yin. Same drill. Gently back. We'll first go into a healthy self. Just back enough. Here you are holding space for the self. Now pull it, lean back a little bit too far. Hold your hands in your head and a bit tight and kind of isolate yourself from the world. Notice that feeling of really withdrawn into an isolated, separate self, and just notice how you experience that. And let that loosen up and just back to a healthy self-focus. One more time, too far into the self, too tight in your yin. Relax that back to a healthy self. And now drift back to neutral. And shake that out. Okay. Neutral, yeah, moving on. And just back a tiny bit into grounding in the self. Take yourself with you gently as you go forwards. Just as far as feels comfortable for you right now. Hands out, eyes out, grounded in self, present with others. And now let that groundedness in self go. Unhook yourself from that tether of self and drift out and get lost in the other, in the group. Just feel that for a moment. Recognize that feeling. Let yourself go there and really take a somatic picture of that. Oh, that's what that feels like. And then drift back to a healthy self. Feel that in the body. Really stay present in your body. One more time, yeah? Enmesh. Fall head over heels. Join a cult. And drift back. Healthy, balanced connection. And neutral. Yeah. Shake that out. I get it. It's not pleasant work. So now the next time that you, well, no, let me ask a question. Raise your hand if either the extreme here, no, did anybody recognize that feeling of too far that way into the self? Yeah. Did anybody recognize the feeling of that in themselves? Oh, I know that feeling from somewhere. Yeah. Raise your hand if one of them was clearly a place that you tend to visit more often than the other, or were they, so this one more than that one, or that one more than this one, right? We tend to have, some people are even, okay, right. Yeah, let's do that. Point in the direction you tend to go. Interesting, yeah. Yeah, so by training this way, oh, that's healthy, that's too far, that's healthy, that's back, right? You're training yourself, just like you trained yourself when you were between 1 and 2.5 to walk upright without falling down. This is good work. This is really good work to do, yeah? All right. The more you do it, the more you will recognize the difference between these, yeah? Yes, I hope this comes with training. Yes, you can train yourself to recognize this all the time. You can do this simple practice on your own. Do it first alone. Do it with some people, yeah? And then start to play with it while you're on a conference call, you know? Notice when you're here and you're feeling that. You go, oh, how does that feel, right? You can literally shift. In the beginning, here's my general recipe. In the beginning, practice with big shifts in the body, supporting clear shifts of awareness. Yeah, big shifts in the body supporting clear shifts in awareness and state. The more adept and ninja you get at it, the more you can use smaller shifts in the body and achieve the same degree of shifting of state and awareness. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that in the moment for practicing, it's like really doing this, really, because especially if you're like this, or if you're empathic, or you're just a concerned citizen, oh, and my culture and my family and my this, like, you almost have to use your body to like wrangle that attention back here and really hold space for this. Yeah, and then you can do it more and more subtly, so that eventually just a tiny shift back and you're there. Yeah, similarly that way. Let the body support the awareness. The body can hold a safe space for the awareness to go out. But the other rule here of thumb is healthy yin supports healthy yang, like seed into plant, chicken before egg, healthy sleep, healthy wakefulness. Yeah, so here to here. Now, of course, being in a good environment and a safe environment supports the ability to go in. So yes, the yang, the outside, supports the inside, but in terms of growth and development, this in a supported active way needs to be grounded from this. Does that make sense? It's like if you're lifting a weight, you want to have a healthy core to lift a weight out there. Holding someone in your awareness is like having a weight on your hand out here. If I'm not supported in my core, I can get lost in the other very much. Just like if I try to lift a weight out here, I can strain myself unless I really connect it to my core. Does that make sense? That's kind of the physical, that core supporting periphery is the physical manifestation of self-awareness supporting other awareness. Here and here, what are we doing? We're shifting our awareness, yeah? When we're focusing our awareness here, we're focusing our awareness on the self. That's kind of like the stimulus, right? So if I'm putting my attention there, the stimulus that enters into my embodied awareness is coming from you. I'm getting stimulus from you. If I put my awareness here, I'm tuning into the stimulus that is there. So where you put your conscious awareness or your attention, I hold attention to be conscious awareness. The shape of our attention is the shape of our conscious awareness, we could say. Then that determines what kind of stimulus, right, comes into our conscious awareness. Then the question is sensory motor. What of that stimulus do we want to really be with and sink into and get a deeper feel with and start to integrate and let sink in? And which of that stimulus and when from that stimulus do we want to take that sensory information and energy and act on it and let it take us into movement? Yeah, so sensing and movement. I was a dancer for 20 years, right? So I was really in that sensory motor loop within myself, right? Now I'm a parent and I spend a lot of my time sensing my daughter's needs, responding to them, sensing my daughter's needs, responding to them, right? Now I'm a business owner, I'm an adult. I got all these sensory motor things out there, right? So we are in a sensory motor loop, yeah, to a certain degree with that stuff here and a sensory motor loop with that stuff out there. And how much are we in that loop at the expense of what's wanting to happen here, right? And when do we get in this loop at the expense of what's wanting to happen here? So you see where I'm going with this? So there's, on one hand, there's like two separate projects to tune into. And then there's that greater polarity integration invitation of how can I meet your needs and respond to the invitation of the environment and the others in a way that is also synergistically helping me meet my needs and be in my flow. So those are what the four modes of embodiment encompass. Yeah. And today we were just taking the first step of that, of just noticing, what is it like to hold space for myself? What is it like to hold space for the other? Yeah. So if you like, for yourself, you can start to inquire, oh, what's happening? How easy is it to sense myself? How easy is it to take action from that? Do I feel free and empowered to do that? And vice versa there. Okay, so that is the big view. Why does this matter was a question. Like, why is it important to explore in this way? And what's the usefulness of that? That's maybe a good thing to speak to at this moment. Well, if you reflect for yourself on what you've experienced so far in our time together, what was for you? Did it bring you any certain awareness? Just going through, oh, what happens here? What happens there? What happens if I go too far? What happens if I go too far? What happens if I grounded myself and go to the other? Oh, that's different. So on one hand, just doing this is deeply awareness building, right? And awareness gives us the opportunity for choice, right? It allows us to go, oh, so that's what's going on. Do I like that? Are there other options, right? To escape just the hamster wheel of our conditioning and to start to explore what's maybe wanting to happen. Secondly, it allows us the opportunity to start to recondition ourselves, not just notice our current patterns or conditioning, but to recondition ourselves. Oh, I can be more comfortable with this. Oh, I can be more comfortable with that, especially if I connect one to the other. And you can use this everywhere in life, right? Like where is that not relevant? Where is that not helpful? Very helpful with your significant other. Very helpful when you go out and work to not lose yourself there, to come back to yourself. Yeah. We're training on one hand, the recognition of the state. Oh, that's what that feels like, right? So like the thermostat knows, this thermostat knows, oh, this is where I want it to be. I was set at this degree, and it has those feedback loops, so it can course correct. It's like by going not enough far on the sweet spot and then too far, we build in these control loops with somatic, sensory, interoceptive feedback loops that allow us to calibrate what healthy self-sensing is and healthy self-acting, healthy other, right? So we can course correct there. And also what we're doing is we're learning how to use our body as a state shifting vehicle. Yeah. Oh, with just a little bit of shifting backwards in space, that supports me in shifting my internal state and awareness. Yeah. Awareness, body, mind, and awareness. Yeah. It's easiest to do the gross. Yeah. It's a little harder to do the subtle, and it's even harder to do that causal level of awareness. Yeah. So use the easy to support you in doing the harder. Use the body, yeah, to allow the mind and the awareness to shift. Right? And you'll find it's just a lot easier. What takes people years and years to achieve in meditation can often be achieved in days or weeks on a certain level of what I'm talking about. I'm not saying this is that much better than meditation, but it supports you.